Syndicate.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Sunbelt Syndicate, the OG edition, with myself, Dominick Crosetto, and of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. TJ Courman.
What's up, dude? How are you?
Good. The background's looking fresh, man. That's
Yeah.
Look, he hasn't aged at all. He's just grown a beard, folks.
Yeah, and my face is a lot rounder. I miss that face. It was much more squared off. It's like about 28, 30 pounds ago that I used to weigh that. 192 pounds was a long time ago.
It's all muscle, though. That's all that's grown, right?
Well, it's I eat a lot of ribs.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. When you make good flavored ribs like you do, there's nothing wrong with that, man.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. Before we get going along too far, don't sleep energy. I'm going to have to use that as I am going up to Boone tomorrow night to take in the deeper than hate rivalry between App State and Georgia Southern. I think that might be why TJ's changed his background up a little bit, right? Like little extra week, vibes this week. Yeah, hate but week. I will probably be taking in some of that don't sleep on the way up. Probably not on the way back because I don't really want it to work too well because I would like to come back and go to sleep at 2 a.m. But I'll be up there taking that one in, really looking forward to it. As we know, you do not need to even look at the records for what that game is going to be like, what the atmosphere will likely be like up there. It's going to be chilly, though. It's going to be like 40s, low 40s, I think.
I thought I saw 38.
There you go. So not even 40 probably, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. There's gonna be a drone show at the halftime. I'm pretty sure App's never done that before, so that could be cool. I've never seen a drone show in person. I've seen the clips online, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But also, Phenom Elite available online and at your local Dick's Sporting Goods. So check them out. They have this nice. I gotta inquire about this. They've got this nice waffled zip up hoodie. I want one. They've got some cool stuff coming out and some cool stuff that's already available. So definitely check that out. We got a brand new Dick's right down the road. It's not really a sponsorship for them, but since Phenom's over there, I want to go check it out. It's one of those no free ads. Exactly. I do want to check it out. It's one of those like gigantic ones, right? Like it's not a standalone thing. They put this thing in the mall and they like took out some old department store to put this thing in. So it's huge. It's not like this little thing. So I got to go check that out.
The closest one to me is in Triangle Town Center. So I got to drive which it's not that far. It's like, I don't know, 14 minutes. But still, like when you're in Wake Forest, everything's right here. So except Dick for whatever reason. So
yeah. And I feel like all the Dick's swallowed up like all the hometown sporting goods stores, right? Like they don't really exist much anymore. It's like just Dick's or it's online, you know?
Right. Whatever. Yep. Exactly.
It's a good thing we don't have a deal with them since I just disparaged their company, but that's all right. Oh man. Ben James jumping in already saying, what's up everybody? And Wolves up saying Saturday will be exciting. We do have some good matchups this week for sure. And he's noting that it's the first ever 11 a.m. kickoff in A-State football history. So
is that Central? 11 a.m. Central?
Yes, that would be 11 a.m. Central. Well, actually, yeah, it is because it's noon for us. That's right.
It's noon Eastern. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll have to see what goes on there. Well, we'll go ahead and pull this up. But while we're pulling this up, we want to tell you we won't be breaking down any clips. Unfortunately, we, again, no free ads. This one's like a reverse ad because YouTube TV and ESPN can't work out a deal, or Disney, whoever's on top there. I guess it's Disney. They can't work out a deal. Yeah, and we used to show those and break those down a little bit and slow them down. YouTube TV allowed us to do those in half speed and quarter speed and all kinds of cool stuff. ESPN Plus platform does not allow us to do that, and usually is more problematic when we even try to replay something from them. So unfortunately, we're going to skip that this week. So I'll miss my favorite segment, TJ, but yeah, we got the rest of week 11 to preview.
That is true. That is true. We'll still get after it.
Yeah. And what you were telling me, we'll go ahead and finish this conversation because there's a lot of people involved in this, what's going on
Sure.
and what people are doing to get around it. So you were getting into before we went live what you've done to kind of be able to see some football. So what is your fix for now?
Yeah, I was watching Fox and just whatever YouTube TV is carrying right now, and I was just like, I'm missing out on literally every SEC game, right? So my wife had we have a version of Disney Plus, like we didn't have the whole bit. So what she discovered was, because I think we were already paying like 13 or 15 or whatever dollars it was to have it. It was only $10 extra for us a month to get the full ESPN. So I did what I said I wasn't going to do, because I was like, I'm not going to buy any apps. I'm gonna make them, feel the pressure like everybody else is trying to make them feel the pressure. And then like in 3 days, I broke down. I didn't. My wife did. But I am able to watch football tonight. My Ball State and Kent is playing, so I'm able to watch that, and then I'm able to watch App State, because I would have been in shambles if I couldn't watch App State tomorrow night. So, and especially with it being hate week, I you got to get it in.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You gotta watch that one. Even more for you as a former player that's got to like really watch that one. But I got lucky. I have a friend at work who is a big hockey fan, and I shared him a password to watch that app. So he shared with me his ESPN Unlimited app. So yeah,
Okay.
we're doing the password sharing that you're not supposed to do, but that way I'm not paying anything extra for now. Anyway.
Well, here's my question then. If you're watching it, can he then watch it as well? Because I think isn't it only just one household? But I guess you can have multiple TVs in one house, right? So I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically I don't know if he's ever watched at the same time I have. So that's a good question, but I was watching game day all day Saturday morning, and I would assume he had turned some football on at some point. I never got kicked off. So maybe if a couple people go in together and share stuff around, that's one way we can all get around this, at least for some time. Because yeah, I mean, bottom line, the $30 ESPN platform, if you have other stuff, that's a large chunk of change every month. Disposable income or not, that's not something you just are going to get used to immediately. So anyway, I will say this too, and we were talking about this on the text thread. ESPN Plus, or ESPN Unlimited, I guess technically, if we're talking about this specifically, the fact that it has everything is nice. The interface to like move around, right? Like YouTube TV, I miss that so much. I wanted to put a quad box on. I could choose what I wanted, or I had a bunch of really quick options to choose from. If I held down on mine, I had the Roku. If I held down the OK button, I could jump from one game to another. Like I don't have any of those functions on ESPN. That's what you need to make this transition seamless, and your app does not work that way. And so far, I would be interested to see how many people are like, I'm doing this because I have to. Like, it's the way I have to do it right now, but I'm not like, this isn't really an enjoyable app to interact with.
So to that point, and it's the last thing I'm gonna say about it. For whatever reason, the Disney version, because you can go through Disney, click into ESPN, and then once you have it, like I have multi-view on when I go to ESPN, so I can watch multiple games at one time, and I can kind of click. It's not seamless when I can click from game to game. That part they need to fix, but I can quad box it. So I don't know why the ESPN Unlimited app is not letting you do that, but the Disney Plus app is.
Yeah, that is weird. I gotta maybe. Well, I can't try that because I don't pay the extra thing. Interesting.
Right.
Sam's got a good point here. Cancel everything. Less than $100 for a Hulu Live bundle with Disney and ESPN Plus. Although, kind of goes against the whole thing of like sticking it to the man there.
Yeah. Well, also too, I gotta have the ESPN or the Sunday ticket. I can't not have that. I gotta watch every game every Sunday. So even though it's impossible for me to watch every game every Sunday, I still need I still need the ability to do it. So that's gonna be a problem for me.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that actually have told me that, which is funny because I'm the opposite. Not the opposite. I want to watch every game, but I don't. I know I won't actually watch a lot of each game. So red
Right.
zone for me and my attention span and my son's attention
Okay.
span is perfect.
Yep.
It moves it through. You still see everything. The touchdown montage at the end of the Sunday is awesome. My son and I will just sit there and watch minutes straight of every touchdown throughout the day. It's great.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah,
my
that's
favorite
awesome.
things. Yeah, Sam's. I guess I didn't know Hulu has red zone, but it does have red zone. But it
Okay.
might be a better deal for college sports. So yeah, I mean, play around with it. If people find some good solutions, some answers, I'm up for hearing
Yeah.
it. I mean, I've thought about having the ESPN Unlimited and then pairing it up with 2 or 3 other streaming services and just doing away with the more expensive ones. But I don't know. YouTube TV has been such a hit in this household ever since it was acquired that it would be hard for me to give that up. Being able to like get on the phone, record whatever for any time I want. We do the clips off there. I mean, I'd miss that. I'd need some other like video service to go back into those. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get back into the week 11 preview for you guys. And we've got some good ones, but we're going to kind of wrap up the week that was first. But we'll actually get into the playbook before that, tell you what we're going to go through tonight. The looking good section, TJ's favorite segment. Come on, bro. Games of the week, of course. We've got a couple of those. The You Better Win category. These are the teams that we expect to get the victory this week. Rounding it out of the games that don't necessarily fit into those categories. Going to have some opinions on those ones, I think. And then Best Bets, our new favorite segment. We were working on updating those numbers right before we went live. So we'll keep you up to speed on what we think you might be looking for in any bets you might place this weekend. Or, hey, throw yours out. We'd love to hear those as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Sam says sports ad for Hulu gives you red zone. They just had a free view. Yeah, I did hear some of the apps were smart in giving people some free previews to kind of get them to swing over. I've also heard that Sling TV has like $5 day pass.
Yeah,
so
they got
yeah, and that's kind of cool. I mean, $5 if for one single event. I mean, just compare that $5 to going to the event live. Totally money well spent if you're really into the sport or game that you really want to see. So there's a couple options out there to get you to be able to see what you want to see. The standings, the updated standings, as we know, we didn't have any early midweek games this week. We do have one tomorrow that we already spoke about, but we've got 2 teams atop each side of the division. We know the only conference left with divisions, TJ, 5-0 JMU on one side, 4-0 Southern Miss on the other. Yeah, I mean, tell me whatever else you're seeing out of these standings for right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same thing every week. I think for me, like I said, the teams that are at the bottom, outside of Georgia State, didn't necessarily think would be at the bottom, and the teams that are at the top didn't necessarily think they were going to be at the top. I will say, however, I am impressed with the Red Wolves. 4-1 in conference, 5-4 overall. Very much impressed with them and their transition from last year to this year. Obviously, Southern Miss. I mean, it goes without saying. But yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's the Sun Belt, right? Like any given Saturday, anything could happen. But this is JMU, Coastal being at the top, ODU, not surprising. I had hope for App, but none of the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams would have surprised me on the East.
Right.
Very much surprised on the West.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. Like the East isn't surprising or shocking in any form or fashion for me. Well, a little bit with Georgia Southern. I will, because I think I had them at second place as a preseason. So I am surprised with them. I will say that one.
Okay.
But the top to bottom in the West, having Texas State at the very bottom, blown away. I mean, that was a team I thought first, second, third, none of those would surprise me. Anything less, yeah, I'm shocked. I'm not necessarily shocked with Troy. Maybe a pleasant surprise with how well they've done. Louisiana dropping off. You had some injuries, but them being kind of in the middle, a little surprised by that. Not totally shocked by Southern Miss. I thought they would have a really good season. I don't know if I saw 6-2 and 4-0 in the conference at this point, but doing very well. And like you said, the Red Wolves we'll definitely talk about even further as we go along. So we'll get into where some of these teams are sitting in the looking good category. Coastal Carolina, 3-game win streak and outscored the Herd 27-7 in the second half of that Halloween Eve game. What was it, TJ? 5 straight turnovers, or
it was bad. It was bad. I will tell you what also was bad. Those uniforms. I was not impressed. I thought it was going to be because they hyped it up, right? Like I thought it was going to be so much better than what it actually was. And I think we were in a group thread talking about it, and I was just like, "What? Because they kept my son up, like, hey, Brody, here's he's like, these uniforms, they're okay, and I'm just like, oh, man, like what a letdown. But the actual gameplay and them playing football was not a letdown if you're a Chanticleers fan. They took advantage of every opportunity they could. All those turnovers, I mean, you can't turn the ball over that many times and expect to even be close to winning. And in that second half, that's exactly what it was. It was a rout.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about it a little bit with Marv on the Sunday show. He had pretty much the identical thoughts to you, right? Like I thought we were going to see something crazy. I did too. I won't lie. I thought I wish I grabbed a picture. There was a hockey team who came out in like off-white with like a skeleton and bones. Nice. And that's what I thought we were going to see. And I thought like
I was hoping that, or something along those lines.
Exactly. And then I thought the Chanticleer on the side of the helmet would be like a bone, like a skeleton version of the logo. I was like, that would have been sick because he did, Mike Uva was on the show with us. We did a special edition. He did say it was going to be something that's a surprise, but it was going to be all white. We did find that out after the show. We couldn't say that at the time, but we knew it was going to be a white jersey. My problem was too, like you said, like one, ESPN didn't do them any favors. Okay. Nope. They did not focus on the jersey. They didn't do a special thing. In fact, when they were entering the field, while all this stuff with the glow in the dark stuff was going on, they put the camera on the sideline reporter and was listening to her talk about the game. Like at that point, I don't care. I want to see what the whole buildups been. Like show us what we want to see. So I think they kind of ruined it in that regard. But then the other part was like from a distance, you couldn't tell there was anything special, right? Like it just looked like a white jersey. So yeah, I think it's cool in the fact of like what it is. If you own one, it's up close and you like put a black light in the room and you frame it, like that would be sick. I think that would be cool. But yeah, I mean, like on the field, blowing people away, I don't think it hit. But again, I think a lot of that had to do with how the presentation was just total letdown from ESPN. Like, they told them too. Yuva told us that I'm in touch with ESPN. He flew up there the next day to show off the jersey in the studio. But beforehand, he said he was working with the crew, trying to tell them, hey, here's what's going to happen when, just so you know, I'm not doing your job, but I want to tell you how it's going to go. And I think they fumbled it. But yeah, other than that, Coastal stays hot on the field though. And they're staying hot off the field. I mean, social media was still fire with everything, whether it hit as well as everybody wanted it to or not. It was still really popular. We shared a lot of stuff on it. But ODU went down to ULM and crushed them 31-6. Not necessarily a surprise though, right, TJ?
No, I don't. Well, I will say this. The surprise for me came in the difference of the score. Because I think initially, the line or the spread was, 14.5 or something like that. Maybe it was 17. I can't remember. It was something along those lines. I know it was double digits. I was worried about the trip and not that from going from central or from Eastern time zone to central time zone is that big of a difference. But I was like, maybe it may mess with them a little bit. ULM is kind of a sleeper team. I didn't expect ULM to win, but I didn't expect 31-6. That was quite a shock.
Yeah. I think if I remember right though, you did take them to cover. I think you did.
Yes. I did take them to cover. Mistaken. But 25 points and 17 are completely different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm with you. Like I saw ODU winning somewhat comfortably. I did also not see them winning 31-6.
Right.
Especially maybe if this game was in Norfolk, maybe because we saw what they did to Coastal in Norfolk earlier this year. But yeah, down there at ULM, and we talked about that, bringing your own energy. If there wasn't many people in the crowd, kind of hard sometimes to play like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they took care of business and looked like their early season selves there. Arkansas State, Ben's favorite team, no comeback needed this week. 4 wins in a row. Yeah, 23-10. They beat the Troy Trojans, who were also hot coming into that game. So definitely an impressive victory there. Jalen Rayner, 247 and 2 touchdowns. The return of Tay Meadows for Troy didn't work for them. The A-State defensive front, all of them defensively, but they were just getting into the backfield and disrupting anything the Trojans were trying to do offensively and just steamrolled them and only allowed them to score 10 points total. So really, really impressive performance on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
All right. That'll wrap it up for the looking good category. Now here's the come on, bro. And there we go. There's a ULM player upside down on the ground trying to stop a Monarch from getting into the end zone. What you can't see from that little clip is that the ball's already crossed the plane there.
I was going to say that did not.
Yeah, there was a couple teams that maybe could have fit into this category, but not a lot of other teams lost really, really terribly. I thought about putting Marshall here for 5 turnovers in the second half. Probably
that's what I was expecting. I was expecting to see Marshall here because 5 straight turnovers and in one half is just insanity. But nothing trumps 5 losses. I mean, sometimes you can accidentally win a game, and that just hasn't happened.
Yeah, that's true. Warren said that Troy made A-State look good. That's what happened in that other one. But yeah, ULM 5 straight loss, like you said too. That last loss, it's like if you had a couple close losses and you lose 5 straight, and that last one comes on like a last-second field goal, and you're just like a crushing loss. I'm probably not even necessarily putting you in here as the only one, right? But 5 straight and the last one 31-6. Yeah, you deserve a come on, bro.
Right. 100%.
Just not good. But yeah, Marshall, like I said, Marshall could have been in here. I didn't hold it against them too bad that they played a really good first half. It was kind of a crazy atmosphere down there in Coastal Halloween Eve. Maybe I gave them too much of a break, but yeah, they avoided it for this week anyway. But let's get into our games of the week. There's going to be one missing here, TJ. I'll see what you think about that. Do not have the deeper than hate rivalry. Now, having said that, before we get into the games that we actually do have, I will say it's massive for myself, for TJ, for App fans, for Georgia Southern fans. But I'm looking at this more from an outside perspective. Who is national media and outside fans going to focus on as the bigger games? To me, that's the battle for the gavel, as some people are beginning to call it, between James Madison and Marshall. This is also Marshall 75 week, which is extremely meaningful. We've talked about that in the past, TJ, about, so the movie's all about the plane crash, how meaningful it is to the community there in Huntington. And so they get to host JMU on national television, ESPN 2, Saturday at noon. Here's the bad part. The other game that we've got between Southern Miss and A-State is the exact same time.
They don't do us any favors, bro. They do not do us any favors.
No, not this week. They didn't. These are 2 must-see games for what they mean to each team individually, for what they mean to the Sun Belt in the standings. I'm going to put you on the spot here, TJ.
Okay.
If you could only choose one, and I know you'll probably be jumping back and forth, and while you're watching another one, you also have the scoreboard up on one of these. But if you could only choose one to watch, first off, that's the first question. Which one would you choose here?
I think I might surprise you with my answer because I'm going to go Southern Miss and A-State. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I think I already know the outcome of JMU Marshall, right? Like okay. I kind of got a feeling, and it's not so much that they're going to beat them up, but Marshall is, albeit gotten better, they're not where JMU is right now. And JMU, I think, is going to, I think that we'll see the spread here and the best bets here shortly. But I think JMU is gonna hold their own pretty well. I'm very much interested in how Jalen Rayner plays against his Southern Miss defense. I very much want to see what that offense, and you already know how I feel about that passing attack, especially when they go fast, what that looks like. I'm interested to see what they do and how they do it. Ben James is saying Red Wolves win in a close one. Listen, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me, especially being in second place in the West. It certainly wouldn't shock me. But Southern Miss is playing some great football right now. So if I had to choose between the two, I think I'm going Southern Miss and A-State.
Yeah, I think it's hard when we have an East bias, right? We know national media has an East Coast bias when it comes to football, right? There's just not as many teams in the West. It is what it is. With us living closer to both James Madison and Marshall, you just feel like you hear those teams more. You see those teams more as App fans. You're just familiar with those teams more. It's hard. You have, like you said, you have to kind of put that to the side and say, I'm looking at this from an actual football perspective, and I would have to agree. I'd have to go Southern Miss, Arkansas State. One matchup that you alluded to a little bit, Jalen Raynor is a big part of this one. I want to see the secondary for Southern Miss versus the wide receivers from A-State.
Yeah.
You've got Corey Rucker and Hunter Summers over there lighting it up. Really, really good wide receiver tandem. And then you've got the secondary from Southern Miss with Moten and those guys that have been heating up and playing better. It's just a matchup that I think is made for, primetime TV, which is what they're going to have there on ESPNU at 12 noon, or if you're local to Jonesboro, 11 a.m., as been alluded to earlier. Before we move on, I do have some historic value to these that could be of interest. I was thinking about saving some of this for best bets, but some of it doesn't have anything to do with betting necessarily, because we know some of these historic records are, too far old to really matter because it doesn't have anything to do with this new era of football, but I'm going to say them anyway. So the Marshall and James Madison history favors the Herd greatly. 4 games to just 1 for JMU. There were 2 games to begin this back in 1987 and 1994. Those are the ones, to me, that you kind of throw out the window. Historic value, sure, doesn't mean anything with this current allotment of players and coaches that are not obviously from those programs. So they've matched up 3 times in the Sun Belt era. And since they have done that, not a single team has won the game at home. So the away team has won all 3 matchups. Very interesting in this one, as Marshall is the host. So if you do want to take that into perspective, James Madison could be your favorite here, which they are on paper anyways, right? So not a total shock, but just something to keep in mind. Marshall's trying to fight that plus the history of the matchup. So a little bit interesting that no one's won at home. And you'll see some other weird aspects of some of these things as we go along. The one below it, Southern Miss and A-State, favors the Golden Eagles greatly. 10 wins to 4 wins for the Red Wolves. They've also only played 3 of those games total in the Sun Belt era, and A-State has won the last 2. So interesting note there. And also winning the last 2. Now they've got this one at home. Like you said, TJ, it's kind of a team that's heating up, playing pretty well right now. So just throwing those things out there, whether you want to think about those going into best bets for other people watching or for your own betting purposes or just for your watching. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Sam is saying JMU is win or go home every week if they want to keep their college football playoff hopes alive. Yeah.
Right now, I just watched it last night. Right now, they've got Memphis as the group of 5, if you will, representative right now. So it's win or go home for JMU. Like you're 100% right. They've got to win out, and they've got to, in my opinion, I think they've got to hope that Memphis kind of stubs their toe along the way.
Yeah, I'd question this aspect to that, and I understand some of it. Right, Memphis has the better win between Memphis and James Madison. Okay, I won't doubt that. They do have the better win. But they also have the worst loss, right? They lost to UAB when James Madison lost to a team that's literally ranked in the top 25 right now and only has 1 loss on their resume. So, I mean, I don't if they're saying Memphis is better, it better be like splitting a hair, because this is not apples and oranges. Those two teams, I don't know. I've watched them both play, right? I've seen Memphis twice this season, almost full games. I probably wouldn't say I took in full 2 games, 2 full games, I should say. But I'd be hard-pressed not to say that I'd favor JMU, and I would also be hard-pressed that Vegas wouldn't favor JMU because of the defensive aspect of what they could bring. I'm not sure if Memphis is hitting on the defense as much, so I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Been touching on Rucker drawing a lot of PIs, pass interference calls, in the Sun Belt. Yeah, not hard to see why with his size. There's going to be some smaller defenders that are doing everything they can do to clutch and grab and slow him down. TJ experienced some of that in his playing days. And then he also says it's win or go home for Memphis on Fridays. They play Tulane. Yeah, so that's a great aspect right there. I hadn't looked at them specifically. Yeah. Go ahead, TJ. Whatever you want to say.
No, I was going to say that's my point. You know, I said earlier, JMU is going to need Memphis to stub their toe. This is the game, right? This is the game. Because if you look at the big picture in the group of 5, JMU, Tulane, Memphis, and South Florida. Those are the 4 group of 5 schools that really, if you look at the picture holistically, have a shot. You know, for me, I think the best shots right now, as it stands, are Memphis and South Florida. However, it's going to be a hard road to hoe if they don't win out, because then you're opening that door for JMU. And then my other thing is too, the way the CFP is set up right now, Notre Dame is ahead of Oklahoma, Texas. Right? Texas, Oklahoma went out. They have an opportunity to do it. Now they got to go through Alabama and I think Georgia, ultimately, but they don't win out. How does that look? Or let's say hypothetically, all 3 of those teams end up with 1 loss. Is there a picture where 2 group of 5 can get in? I doubt it, but you never know, right? These are the things you got to look at.
Yeah, I saw something about that earlier. Herd Bros is really good with all this. And first of all, before we go on to that, Sam Talk Sports bringing up the stats to back up my opinion on the Memphis defense versus James Madison defense. Memphis total defense, 49th. Scoring defense, 24th. JMU total defense, number 8. Scoring defense, number 11. So there you go. Also, it really helps out that they've held their opponents completely scoreless in the second half for a few weeks in a row. That's right. Pretty good there. So yeah, the argument will be the American's stronger from top to bottom. To be honest with you, this year, I'll agree with you. The Sun Belt isn't what it has been the past 2 seasons, but the past 2 seasons, I would have argued that from top to bottom, the American has not been better. This year, I do agree. It may still be top heavy, but those top players in the American are probably, as a group, better than the same amount of teams from the Sun Belt this year. I'm a homer, but I'm not stupid, so I will admit things when I see them. But that does not mean that I think. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say I agree. You know what I want to see? I want to see a world where we line some of these conferences up and let's duke it out. Right? Conference USA, American Conference, Sun Belt. And I forget what conference, Ohio and MAC. Yeah. Let's get some of these teams and let's figure it out on our own. Let's let the guys figure it out. I'm so sick and tired of this being figured out on paper. Let's let our top teams play their top teams. Right? Like I don't want JMU playing the middle of the pack, Miami of Ohio. I want JMU playing Memphis. I want JMU playing, South Florida. Like I want them playing the dogs, right? So then when it comes down to who's the group of 5 school that's going to get in, let the record show it, right? Instead of let's put it on paper and whose conference is the strongest and all that. Who cares? Line them up on the field. Let them play. Let the boys play.
I think there's 2 ways to do it. You'd have to restructure how you schedule things, which is probably the most unlikely. Well, there's 3 ways. So that could be a way, like restructure how the regular season's done and leave like an open week towards the end. Hard to do, right? Moving parts and pieces. We saw Coastal Carolina and BYU do it during COVID, so it's not impossible.
I was going to say it's doable.
Yeah, if you have a bunch of teams doing it, maybe that makes it a lot harder. But the other way to do it, better bowl schedules for these teams, like match up two like-minded teams in bowls. Like half the time, the winner of the Sun Belt plays, a lower team from the MAC, like, or vice versa. The MAC champ gets like the third or fourth team in the Sun Belt. Why aren't you putting the two champions against each other? Like, I think they've tried to do that a little bit better, but it's still not working out perfectly. I don't know why we're seemingly afraid to do that. That's the ones that people are going to watch and tune into. But yeah, I was going to have a third one there. Now I forget what I was going to do with that one.
Oh, I
know what the third one was going to be. The third one was going to be, you're going to have to break off, and the G5 is going to have their own playoff.
Okay. I wouldn't be terribly opposed to that. The only pushback that I have against that is now you're putting themselves in a situation where if there's a national championship out of, that level, that group of five, that kind of thing, is it as high valued? And the reality of it is this: do we have an opportunity? Does group of five ever have an opportunity to go be a national champion? Are we going to beat Alabama or LSU or Florida or Ohio State or Oregon? Are we ever going to do that? It's not impossible. Is Boise State good enough to go beat Ohio State? Probably not. Probably not. However, I think your first idea lends itself to being the best one because, usually you schedule your first couple games, one or two games, some cream puff team, right? Get one of them out of the way, first game of the season, right? Second game of the season, let's line these guys up, MAC, Conference USA, whatever it is, let's line these guys up and let's play second or third game of the season. I don't see the problem. Or if you're worried about that and you're worried about not getting the best version of themselves, save a game 6 or week 6 or week 7 or week 8 slot right in the middle of conference play and play one of these other schools. What's the problem with doing that? All you're doing is you literally all you're doing is taking one of those cupcake teams that you're going to play anyway, you're taking them out of the equation, and then you're going to go play a prove it game. Every week for us was a prove it game. We never had one of those teams on the schedule. So go play.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sam's bringing up a 2-week mid-season tournament. So I don't want to do anything like that. That's like the NBA is doing with like these mid-season tournaments. I think like even soccer does stuff like this. I mean, I get the draw. The draw would be good, but what it would do for like the end, like then you get back into your regular. You do everything you can to win this mini tournament, and then you've still got to play a regular season. So I'd be more likely to lean your way, TJ, and say, no, I want to have like the best first best in these conferences so that their resume is better towards the end when you're looking at a better bowl or a college football playoff spot, right? Now you can say, well, the Sun Belt didn't play anybody. The American didn't play anybody. They didn't play a strong power team. So yeah, their win over the middling ACC team they beat doesn't mean that much. Okay, but we the Sun Belt's best just beat the MAC's best team by 30 points. Right. I mean, that's going to be meaningful at that point. So I don't know how it would work out. I mean, we've seen the Sun Belt versus the MAC basketball challenge just went down. I love that. The only thing I'll say with your idea is like that early in the season, the only problem with that is how much rosters and everything can change from one to the other. So last year's, best versus best might become middle of the pack and the bottom of another, you know what I mean? Like that's the only hard part about doing it early. You'd almost have to, like you said before, I think you said like week 7, 8, 9 kind of time frame, maybe before you shake it out. But yeah, interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's Sam's thing. Maybe not so much a tournament as a showcase, top versus top. Yeah, and honestly, if they do
approach it like a regular season game,
yeah, and if you save it for bowl season, again, I'm still with that. Give me my champ versus champ. Like that's what I'd like to see.
Right?
A lot of times we're rewarded, and a lot of times our fans are part of the problem here. Is like Troy was jacked up that they got a shot at Duke the other year in a bowl game, but Duke wasn't a great football team that year, right? Like it wasn't like you were going up against some really great power program in Duke. Like it was the middle of the pack ACC team that you ended up playing for your bowl game. Now it's great because you don't get the shot at those types of teams often, but like I still would have rather seen Troy go play, I don't know, like Liberty that year or something. That was maybe the year Liberty was in the playoff thing, but
Yeah, I get
regardless. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would have rather seen. So we'll see. Ben says A-State opens with Memphis next year. That's interesting. Getting back into that rivalry there. Warren says leave week 2 open and after preseason rankings play each other. Again, it's still, to me, it's just too early to know whether those rankings would mean anything. Rankings coming into the season are essentially meaningless, right?
Yeah. Well, you know my saying, you don't know who you are as a football team until week 4. Week 4 is who you find out who you really are. So maybe, and listen, you get your first 3 whatever games out of the way. Maybe you play them game 4. Maybe you play them game 5. Maybe you wait until game 8 or 9, right? Or 9 or 10. Who? Because the reality of it is, who cares if it's week 10 and you're playing App State versus Memphis? Who cares? Like, it's still good football. It doesn't matter that it's in the middle of your conference. Like, when I was my freshman year, just as an example, and then I'll shut up about it. I think it was, as a matter of fact, I've got it right here. Week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Week 9, we played against LSU my freshman year. So who cares?
Yeah.
So
in a couple weeks, I think it's a couple weeks, Coastal's going to play South Carolina, just like you guys did against LSU. So towards the end of the season, hey, here's a tough one. And we talked about it with Marvin. We'll get to this one with you and I, but just to note it real quick, what kind of thought process does Coastal come into with that? Because that's an out-of-conference game, so if you lose it, it doesn't matter. They have James Madison the next week, right? And so, like, do you play hard to win South Carolina, or do you save something because you are in a championship caliber matchup or potentially a championship game that you're going to get to because of winning or losing that game? So it'll be interesting to see how they play that.
Yeah, I think it will be very interesting. In my opinion, if you want it early, I think you see how it shakes out. I think you give it your best shot first half, going into that third quarter, see what you got going on. If you're down by a couple of scores, you pull your guys.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all, because you always play to win the game, right? But you got to play smart at the same time, because there's bigger things. Like, honestly, let's be honest, beating South Carolina this year, really not that meaningful. They're not ranked. They're not great.
Super impressive.
Yeah. Sam says, get rid of the bowl affiliations. Yes, I'm all for that. College football playoff ranks all 136 teams. Teams play bowls based on rank, 13 versus 14, 15, 16, etc. I wouldn't hate that aspect. I don't think I could trust the CFP to rank all 136 teams appropriately. They can't even do the top 12.
Wouldn't trust it at all.
Okay, there you go. Well, not all 136, just all bowl eligible. There you go. They may be able to handle that a little bit better. I still have a hard time trusting them, but that's okay. The you better win category. It's not going to be much here, we know, but it's time to do it, lady, as Chit would say. And if you don't know who that is, get your knowledge up, get your game right. This one is interesting. Georgia State versus Coastal Carolina. We know Georgia State coming off a bye week into this one, while Coastal's coming off not necessarily a bye week, right? They did play, but they've had a little bit extra rest for their Thursday. Yeah, mini bye. There you go. I like that. This one is a ESPN Plus game, so this one's not affected by YouTube TV. If you had ESPN Plus, you're still good to go on that. This one's Saturday afternoon, 4 Eastern, 3 Central time. TJ, quick thoughts on the Panthers versus the Chanticleers.
Chants beat them by three scores, I think, easily. I think they beat them pretty easily. The way they've been playing, man, Chanticleers they look good. And if they help them out at all with any sort of turnover, it's going to get worse than that. But I've got them by 17 at least.
Yeah, going in, I would probably agree with you. Just going, man, they're hot right now. Georgia State is not. But Georgia State did play the possible best team in this conference right now, James Madison, to a 14-7 game. Now, that was in Atlanta. That was earlier in the season. But it wasn't when JMU was running the 2-quarterback set, right? They had it figured out. Barnett was the guy for that game, and they performed admirably. Now you've got Brown, Cameron Brown, as the guy. Like, they've committed to him. He's got a couple games under his belt. They've had the bye week to kind of get prepared for this game. The all-time series is tied 4 games apiece. In all 8 matchups, no one has ever won at home. No one.
Really?
Ever. Yes. Insanity,
Wow.
right?
That is true. I wouldn't have guessed that at all.
No.
I wouldn't have guessed that at all.
With where Coastal has been in the past, right, up towards the top of this conference a few times, and where Georgia State has been kind of towards the bottom more often than not, it's kind of shocking that Coastal has never won at home. And it's not that shocking that Georgia State hasn't won at home, but just the weirdness of this matchup in this, it's not a rivalry, but the weirdness of this matchup and what you can see from the stats is just really, really interesting. And maybe that's lending into Coastal only being favored by 7.5 points. So I don't know, but it's just kind of one of those weird stats that I'm not sure you could just totally ignore. There's something strange about this matchup that nobody can win a home game in this one. So Seth's giving me I look older with the haircut. That's good to know. I thought I got it cut so I can look younger, baby. But I look even older than almost.
I'll say I disagree. I think Seth's being a hater.
Well, I could have did the Bieber shag and let it grow out and get shaggy, but I decided against that. So I thought, since I'm going up to do a little bit of media work tomorrow, I thought I'd look the part, or try to. So we'll have to see. Robbie's saying he hopes it ends, but the home team have never won. Yeah, so an aspect, he probably commented that before I said it or something. I'm seeing it in the comments now. But yeah, just a weird aspect, right? Like, until I looked that up, and I had seen that Coastal had never won the home game, but I did not know the fact that Georgia State had never won a home game either. So just back and forth. Nobody wants to win at home. Really interesting. We'll have to see what happens there. So that leaves the rounding it out category. Are you offended that I put Georgia Southern and App State in this one?
No, because I think it's big. I think the Georgia Southern App State game is big to us. I think where the two teams rank right now currently wouldn't make it big nationally, right? Like there's not a like conference wide. Nobody's keeping an eye on this game because it matters, right? Neither of these teams, in my opinion, have a chance to win the conference. So it would be different if these teams were 1-2 or 2-3 in the East, and it was a shot at getting to the number one spot or playing for the East crown. But so I understand why you did it. Internally I disagree, but externally it makes sense.
Trust me, I wanted to put it up there too, but then I was thinking, like, how many people are going to be like, you only put this on there because you care? And I'm like, I think they may be right. This year they may be right. Like,
yeah.
If even one of these teams was highly ranked in the conference right now, or highly thought of, outside, had a 2 or 3 loss overall type of situation, like maybe you could elevate it even more. But yeah, 1-3, both of them 1-3 in the conference, and no one has a winning record right now. App State is 500 exactly, but Georgia Southern just one game below. So interesting aspect. Still on ESPN2, still national television on Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. Here's the interesting aspect: out of all the games that we've gone through this week, A-State and Southern Miss have played 14 times total. That's the second highest. You know how many games roughly that Georgia Southern and App State have played in their rivalry?
Golly. Oh, every
It's
year
a lot.
since, I was going to say it's been since 1985, right? Or 86. They've played at least once a year since 86.
I think you're almost nailing it, because they've played 39 times. Tomorrow night will be the 40th time these two teams match up on the football field. So there you go. This is talking about heated rivalry. Why does this game matter? Because it's been played for a long time, and it's always meant something. Like we've said when we started the show, throw out the records, throw out everything else. There's some storylines here. We've got Brendan Harrington returning to Boone to play his former team, has made mention of the fact that he thinks Clay Helton is the best coach he's ever had. Is that a shot directly at the coaching staff, the former coaching staff of App State? Or is that just a real true statement of his? Who knows? But there's going to be a little bit of heat, a little bit of, interaction, I'm sure, by the fan base. For those that pay attention, I'm sure there's some students who don't even know, right? Like there's got to be students that are there like, oh, I didn't know that we had a guy leave and go over there, right? Like, but there's certainly enough people paying attention that if he does something, gets a flag, jaws after the play, which he's known for when he was with App, so I'm sure he'll do it tomorrow night. There's going to be some people that are going to let him have it from the stands. I'm sure he will hear it. And I'm sure he will be telling them to bring it on, right? Like, TJ, you said this. You like that as a player, right?
Oh, 100%. I love going into even post play. I bring up the reference all the time of when I went to Coastal after I was playing, and I was on the field and on the sideline, and I was getting yelled at and cursed at and called everything but a child of God. And they were giving me all kind of. I love it, man. It's just the problem with that was I wasn't on the field. But when you go into a home crowd and you shut them up, the weird thing about playing Georgia Southern is all 4 years that we played against each other, the home team never won. So
you're used to that.
Yeah, the home team never won when we played against Georgia Southern. All 4 years of us going there, we beat them in Statesville twice. They beat us in Boone twice, and that's the rub. So you gotta protect home court or home field when you're playing games like these.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've alternated the last 4 years as well. Georgia Southern did win last year, so it'll be an App revenge game. Maybe that's certainly the aspect they will go in with. It'll be interesting. Dale Loggins facing his big rival for the first time ever in his history. So what does this mean? What does this introduction look like for him? Obviously, Clay Helton is now very familiar with this and better probably prepared on that aspect. Maybe DJ Smith is letting him know what this is all about, right, DJ?
Oh yeah, I think he's fired up. I mean, I know for a fact because Sean Elliott was our coach, was our offensive line coach at the time when I played. He relished this week. He could not wait for Hate Week. It was one of his, because he played on the '96 conference championship team, so he's got a ring too. He knows what it's like to win at App State, and that year he beat Georgia Southern to win the conference championship. So it matters to him on a level, the same level it matters to us. These teams, regardless of record, it doesn't matter. You can throw them out. It makes no difference. Whatever the over under is, bet the under. Whatever the score says in terms of where the line is, don't touch it, because you never know how these games are going to play out.
Yeah. I'm just hoping to see a great one. I think that's what we're going to see, like you said, for all the reasons you just stated. So the last one to round out the games before we get into the bets and what we think there is Texas State traveling on the road for the final time, at least as a Sun Belt member, to face the Cajuns of Louisiana. This one, an ESPN Plus game yet again, Saturday evening, 5 Eastern, 4 Central time. You ready for this one? This is the craziest one, maybe I don't know. Georgia State Coastal neither team ever winning at home is kind of crazy. Texas State is 0-11 all time versus the Cajuns.
Really? Never won?
Yes. Never won a game.
Wow.
Of those 11, of those 11 games, 9 have been blowouts in favor of the Cajuns, but the last 2 games, so just the past 2 seasons, those 2 games decided by a total of just 10-point difference. So they have gotten closer, not blowouts. So what happens in this one? But the Cajuns also getting to play at home in this one versus Texas State having to travel to them. Not a great travel. It's not terribly far distance, really, when you look at it, but
sure,
it isn't a home game. So with that being said, TJ, and you'll cover this a little bit in your betting segment as well, but Texas State or the Cajuns favored for Saturday evening?
I don't know. I don't know. It's because it's tough to say. I mean, Cajuns being home certainly makes a difference, right? I mean, you got your home crowd behind you. Regardless of what their record is, their crowd is going to show up. and they do in a pretty good way most times, in most cases. I don't want to pick this game. I don't want to do it because you're telling me that Texas State is 0-11 versus the Cajuns. If they were going to beat them at any point, this is the year to do it, right? You got them sort of, I don't want to say down, but certainly not who they've been over the past several years. Right. And you've been close the last couple of years. If you're going to get over that hump, this would be, and Texas State really doesn't have a whole lot to fight for the rest of the season, right? Like they pretty much have played themselves out of it, and they're gone next season. So why not leave on somewhat of a high note and taking down the Cajuns? Oh God.
Here's another aspect. I'll give you a little more time. So Texas State got whooped by James Madison at home 52-20, but that was last Tuesday. Meanwhile, the Cajuns played on Saturday against South Alabama on the road, did win 31-22. But to mention that 31-22 victory, you also have to mention the fact that Cajuns were up early, right? They were up 24-7 at the half and allowed South Alabama to kind of get back into this. Texas State's got the probably more high-powered offense. You've got Lunch Winfield on the other side for the Cajuns, able to make a lot of stuff happen, but a lot of times more often with the legs. We'll get to the best segment, like I said, but I see a lot of points in this one is what I'll say on that aspect.
Certainly see a lot of points. I think I'm going to go with Texas. You've convinced me. You swayed me to go with Texas State. I forgot what I picked on the best bets, but I'm going to take Texas State. Jesus, I didn't want to do
that. At least have some fun with it.
I know. I'm not confident. I'm not confident at all.
Sam wants to know who names their kid Lunch. It's not his government name. He may have changed it legally, but that was not what he was born with. He earned the name Lunch, though, I would say.
There's a guy named Snacks Harrison in the NFL. So if it makes it to the league, then do whatever it takes.
Hey, there's a guy named Sauce, and he's just been talked about a lot here lately.
Yeah.
Man. All right. Best bets. We'll wrap it up with this segment, unless we got any rapid fire questions. Things to, I guess, pretty much the very last minute before we went live here. Georgia Southern, App State, first game of the weekend tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Plus. App State favored by 5.5 points at home, with the total over under at 60.5 points. And TJ, you're comfortable taking the under. Explain.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under because I don't think either one of these teams have high-powered enough offenses to score. Let me rephrase. App State has shown that they can get down the field, but can they close the deal? That's the question. And stop stepping on their own toes. So until they prove that to me, I don't believe that they're going to score 30 points. I certainly don't believe Georgia Southern is going to score 30 points because they hadn't shown me that they can consistently do that all year. So that being said, both teams, I think, is going to kind of hit a stalemate, or it could be one of those things where neither team stops each other. Who knows? These games never go the way you think they're going to go because it's Georgia Southern and App State. So I don't really know where the hell my head is. But I'm taking the under just because I don't trust either one of these offenses to get out of their own way.
I don't totally disagree. I'm not going to touch that one because I'm technically going as a reporter. So I'll do the what's the guy on game day who doesn't bet on or doesn't pick?
I was going to say Kirk Herbstreit, not Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah, Herbstreit.
Yeah, well, he does it, but then also the other one, the host, what's his name?
Reese Davis.
Yeah, he does it as well.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I'll just refrain from that aspect, but also I'm kind of with you. Like one of your other last statements, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I'm just going and I'm expecting to see a good game, but I don't know otherwise than that. One that I did take a chance on, James Madison going to Marshall again, 75-week, big, meaningful game for the Herd. If you don't understand and know what that's all about, go watch We Are Marshall, the movie. I am going to favor Marshall against the spread, which favors James Madison by 13.5 points, total over under at 55.5. And again, I'm going to point you back to the fact that Marshall owns this series history-wise 4-1. And the only thing that's going against me in that aspect is that the home team has never won and Marshall's playing at home. But again, I'm not saying Marshall wins, just saying that they cover 13.5. Marshall's been doing some good things at home. That Coastal game was obviously on the road. So I think, they see those mistakes. They're going to play a little bit better because of them, watch a little bit more film, be better prepared. But we'll see what that JMU defense does, because that's the part about it that scares me. It's like Marshall has to put those points on the board in order to cover that 13.5 points. But I'm thinking that they may just be able to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't want to touch it because I didn't think I didn't know how this would go.
Right.
Marshall being at home, I don't know that JMU beats him by 2 touchdowns. Like you said, I'm kind of with you when you're talking about versus the spread. It'd be a lot of points to go in there and win by. It's not that far of a road trip. It's not like they're going across the country. It's for me, I think it's going to be a tough week emotionally for the Herd. And I think that's what's going to play in their favor a little bit more. Again, not saying they win the game, but I think I'm with you in the aspect that they don't get beat by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, maybe another aspect that we haven't talked about is like JMU's now got a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on their shoulders with expectations from the fan base that they will be there at the end of the CFP option. Like they're hearing it. There's no way they're not hearing it. How much do they block it out? How much do they just play without that? But if that extra weight or extra pressure is unavoidable, maybe again that plays to my favor of taking Marshall against the spread there. All right, you took Southern Miss to cover the spread against A-State, which favors Southern Miss 4.5 points, total over under a 56.5, which I'm taking that one. You're taking USM against with the spread. Tell us more.
Yeah, I think USM just has a better offense. I think right now they have the better. Now, that said, we just talked about A-State's Jalen Rayner and those 2 star wide receivers that they have. I'm interested to see how that matchup is, just like you are against that USM defensive backfield. That said, though, I think the way USM has been playing on defense, I think they're going to be able to kind of limit. I'm not going to say stop, but limit what A-State's able to do. I think they keep the win streak alive, and I think that they come out. A touchdown to me feels good. Winning by a touchdown to me feels good for USM.
Yeah. I just see kind of what you alluded to with the quarterbacks play earlier with Braylon Braxton and Jalen Rayner. They're just guys who can get it done, right? And unlike some of the other quarterbacks who are getting it done, they don't have to use their legs as much, right? We have a couple quarterbacks getting it done who have to lean heavily on the rushing portion of their game. These guys can get it done through the air. They have some really talented wide receivers at their disposal. Plus, they both have some talented running backs that can spell that fact and don't make them have to run all that often. But both can. I would say Braxton's definitely the stronger of the two, quite literally in strength, but also in the fact that he can do it more often and probably take that beating because of his size and strength aspect. We've seen him lead block for his running back to get into the end zone a few times this season. But yeah, because of those 2 players, I am going to lean on the fact that they can get over that 56.5 point mark and cover the spread in this one. Georgia State, Coastal Carolina. We know we talked about the weird history between the two, but you're comfortable taking Coastal Carolina in that 7.5 point spread in that one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more, honestly. I think they get beat by 2 scores. Maybe 10, maybe 14. I think they get beat by 2 scores. I don't think Georgia State, to me, just they don't have it, and I don't think that they will. We talked about the woes that they have in terms of recruiting. I mean, they can't recruit their own city that well. I mean, there's a ton of schools in Atlanta. Those kids go to Athens. Those kids go to, Savannah State. Those kids go to Georgia Southern. They go to, you name a college, Georgia Tech. They, you name a college that's right in that area, in that Georgia
Kennesaw.
area. Yeah, Kennesaw. That's another good example. Valdosta State is another example. Like, those kids go to those schools. They don't go to Georgia State. For whatever reason, I don't understand it. And Atlanta is a hotbed for football. Don't understand why. Now, it's not as hot of a bed as it is like Southern Georgia. You got Macon. You got, St. Mary's, Camden County. Shout out to Jock Roman, Camden County Wildcats. It's not that. But there's certainly a whole lot of talent in that Atlanta area, and they can't recruit it. So until I see that change, I don't think I'm ever going to pick them to be any representation of what Georgia football actually is. So all that said, I said a lot of words to say, yes, I'm taking Coastal to cover.
That's what we want, TJ. We want lots of words. This is a podcast, so you got to have the words to back it up. There's never a shame in saying lots of words to explain your point. And you don't talk in circles, so that's good. But I'm going to agree with you. I think Coastal covers here. Maybe it's still a close game, right? Like maybe they just cover. Maybe they get that 10-point game or something like that. But I think that they're just – it feels like the chemistry and the camaraderie of the team is really high right now. And I think you're not only going to try and beat a team that's winning, you're also going to beat a team that's like come together. So yeah. I don't think that bodes well for Georgia State, unless they're doing that on their aspect. But it's hard to say that you have on a bye week. We just don't see or hear any of that really. So yeah, it'll be tough to overcome for the Panthers in that one. All right, the 0-11 Texas State versus the Raging Cajuns matchup is last. I am going to favor history here and take the Cajuns straight up against the spread, which you are favoring with Texas State at 2.5. Is this the one you said you were going to change your mind on, or is that what you
No, I couldn't remember if I had taken Texas State or not. So good news is I did. And so in the last segment, I did pick Texas State to win it, albeit by a smidge of a margin. I am going to take them to win it by 2.5. Probably end up winning it. I think this is one of those field goal games, right? It could come down to who can stop who last or who has the ball last. Is kind of what it, and 63.5 points says that, right? It says to you who's got the ball last is gonna win the game. So my heart and my head seemingly match, right? Because I gave you this pick earlier, and then I just picked with my heart a second ago. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And it's Texas State. It's their time. Now, if they're going to beat them at any point, now's the time to beat them.
True. It's your last shot or opportunity, at least for the foreseeable future. I know Texas State has signed some stuff with some Sunbelt teams into the future now that we know it will be outside of the conference. I don't believe the Cajuns have been a part of that at all. I'd have to double check that. But off the top of my head, not recalling any future matchup between these two teams. So, yeah, I'm just, both teams have played overtime games already this season. This one could be another overtime game. If you're asking me, I favor the fact of what you said, like could be a 3-point game. Who has the ball last? Absolutely. These last two games have been closer than they've ever been throughout the history of it. Cajuns aren't as hot as anybody thought they might be. Texas State is certainly not as hot as a lot of people would thought they'd be. But like I said, never beaten the Cajuns. I'm going to stick with the Cajuns for the historic aspect of that. I trust lunch. How about that? I'll say that. I trust lunch more than I trust Texas State right now.
There's never going to be a day that goes by that I don't trust lunch. Just so you're aware. I always want lunch.
That's our new T-shirt. As long as Rage and Review doesn't steal it, I trust lunch.
I trust lunch. Yep.
There we go. We'll just put it on a red T-shirt so we can't get in trouble for any copyrights with the Cajuns, but we'll just put red T-shirt, I trust lunch. But yeah. Oh man. All right. I almost don't want to ruin that ending. That's so good. But are there any other last news, thoughts, trash talk you want to do before Deeper Than Hate goes on tomorrow night?
No, man. Listen, I want to keep it civil. I don't know how many Georgia Southern fans we have listening in. I want to keep it civil. I do want to beat the hell out of them, but I want to keep it civil and let's end this thing the right way. We've already played ourselves out of contention. That's fine. Let this be our Super Bowl. Go in, win this game, and play it tough. You're going to make a day trip out of it, right? Or I guess a night trip out of it, right?
Yeah, mostly going to be at night. Yeah, I'm going to leave a little bit early afternoon. My goal is probably about 2:00. Give me full 3 full hours, but hopefully beat most of that 5:00 traffic. So it might be under 3. Kind of get up there comfortably, get my credential stuff, parking pass, and get situated so I can cover this thing. So yeah,
7 or 7:30.
7:30 start. Yep.
Okay. So not a whole lot of. Well, you couldn't tailgate anyway. You're covering the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll be watching. Unfortunately, basketball practice is basketball practice. It's not unfortunate. I do want to watch or coach my son's football, but I will be home with a beer in front of the television watching this football game for whatever it's worth.
Nice.
Maybe I'll see you down there.
Yeah. Well, I will be up in the press box, and if the rules and regulations are as strict as they say, I'm not allowed on the field up until 30 minutes before kickoff. How about that? That's how they have it phrased. I can be down there hanging out until 30 minutes before. Then I must vacate the field and go up to the press box. I don't believe there's any field access after that, because then they want you to go to the press conference afterward with the coaches and players they make available. So we'll see how it works.
If they let me on the field before the game, they might as well just hang it up, because they're not going to find me. If I get on the field, I'm staying down there. That's it.
Put on a helmet and pads and just blend into the background. You could do that. I would. They'd be like, "Who's this skeleton, scrawny dude standing over here with a helmet on his head?"
Passport kicker. Listen, I got my helmet. I got my game helmet right over here. I'm ready to go.
There you go. I may be able to pass for a kicker. We'll see. Sam saying before we get out, Georgia Southern couldn't beat the wings off a dead horse fly's uncle's cousin's sister's wife.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was. I don't even know how I didn't stumble over that. That was that's a mouthful there. But thank you to Sam. Thank you to everybody else who tuned in, commented along the way. Had a blast with this one tonight. Again, we'll try and get back to the clips, but YouTube TV, ESPN, they got to work out their deal so we can do that for y'all. And if not, we will continue to work on a better solution. But we didn't have one set up and ready to go for tonight. So until next time, see you later. Enjoy Deeper Than Hate tomorrow night, and enjoy your Sunbelt football this weekend. See ya.